Hey everybody. So thanks for joining me today. We are talking about marketplace shipping strategies. Do you use a different strategy on each marketplace? Should you be doing that? Is shipping better on one than the other? That's kind of what we're talking about today. And we are going to be joined by Miss Vetta.
Hi.
So this is Vetta from Vetta's Treasures. And tell us a little bit about your business and who you are, in case anybody doesn't know you.
Hi, I'm Vetta of Vetta's Treasures. It is a niche down plus size clothing online. I sell on multiple platforms, Poshmark, Mercari, eBay, Depop, trying to get back to whatnot. And so I just want to kind of give my customers the opportunity for me to meet them where they are. You may not find everything everywhere, but you will hopefully you'll be able to find me everywhere. And so I started off as everything, but then my passion I found was really for the love of plus size. I am a plus size woman myself, and so it makes it very easy to understand measurements and fit and just the everyday things they have concerns about. Whether someone it wants, someone it loose, someone it tight. So I just want to be able to find things and offer it at a available price to the plus there. And in women, I did some stuff, but I'm trying to expand my option. So if you're a man out there, you're on the teddy bear side, I hope you'll check me out and let me know what you want.
So let me ask you a question, Vetta. When you decided to niche down, was that a difficult decision for you?
Uh, it wasn't. It was questioning because definitely that everything feels it sounds great because it's like you feel like you can reach everybody, and so you want to have some of everything. But I found it very difficult at times because it's kind of like I said, I do really have more of a passion for the plus size, but I found myself where it's like I can only list so much in a day or work on so much, and then even for me, I work from home. I want to keep my space in within my parameters, and so I was finding where I'm having to make a small, choose less plus size because I need to get more of this. And then also just the packaging and stuff. And like we're going to talk about today, shipping. All that stuff changes with every item changes the box you need and the measurement of the box and the supplies you need to put in the box. And so I tell people I've never messed with glass. Glass was never my thing. I have a small daughter with special needs, and I swear, even if she didn't have special needs, she'd probably still be falling over stuff. And also me, I like to throw things, so it's like I like that I can just drop a box of clothes down, and I know it's not going to break, but I
Yeah.
can't just drop a box of vases, and I can't take a chance that my daughter won't fall into a box of vases. And so that was not hard, but definitely when I
It
did niche
is.
down, it felt comfortable, and it was easier than it was difficult to think of.
That's good. And it's an interesting thing for me to say because I only ever really sold clothing. I sold breakables in the past? Yes, but like my business was built around clothes. And
Yeah.
it's very hard to get away from you just fold it up nice and put it in something and
Put
it
it in a bag.
sells, right? To having to start to doing the boxes and the peanuts and the double boxing and
Oh my
all of those
gosh.
things, right? So for
Yes.
me, that has always been a consideration. Also, I totally agree with you. So
Yeah.
today we're talking about marketplace shipping strategy. And if your strategy kind of changes from marketplace to marketplace, and Vetter and I have talked about this a little bit, and about how sometimes things are like, I'm going to use the word a better deal on some platforms than other platforms, because of the way that the platforms do their shipping. So, so I do have a PDF, which afterwards, if anybody would like, I'd be more than happy to send it to them. But the same item can have very different margins depending on where you're shipping it from, right?
Yeah.
And so whether you make money on your shipping, whether you lose money on your shipping, or whether you just break even on your shipping can really depend on where you're shipping it from.
Exactly.
And so for me, oops, let's not do that, Trish. Sorry, guys. There we go. For me, so let's just go over kind of what each platform does right now. So eBay is calculated. They calculate it based on, it's not a flat rate. So when I say calculated in this sense, I just want everybody to make sure I'm talking about how they come up with the price, not whether you use calculated or flat on eBay. Okay. We're not talking about how you ship or you get your customers to pay for it. We're just talking about how it's bought. So comparatively, to make sense, I just want to, like, eBay's calculated as in you're paying for exactly the ounces that you're buying. Whereas for Poshmark, it's a flat priority rate across the board up to £5. Okay. So I just want to make sure everybody understands when we say that. So eBay, it's calculated, it's multi-carrier. You have a lot of control. You can use cubic, you can use priority, you can use UPS, you can use FedEx, you can use USPS, you can use lots of different things, and plus you can use a third party carrier like Pirate Ship, or how did we decide we say it? VQuo?
VQuo.
VQuo. Okay, or VQuo.
However people want to see it.
Yeah. Poshmark is flat across the board. And that's where you
Yes.
started, right?
Yes, I started with Poshmark. And I felt
And
like they were very simple in that shipping aspect
agreed.
because they had a flat rate and then they actually told you where you can get your supplies. So,
Right. And now you can get, and they have changed recently from, and
yeah.
now, and it's not flat rate priority all now, it's flat rate. So I need to fix my PDF. I'm very sorry about that. It's not flat rate priority, it's flat rate ground advantage, but it's still a flat rate price.
Yes.
And so how much is it?
Oh gosh. I want to say
Seven
it's like,
dollars,
yeah, it's a little under
7.71.
7. It's like 6 something.
Oh, it is? I thought it was
Yeah, it's
over.
like 6.
Oh,
No, it's
and
like
it's
6 something, I think now on
still
their
up to
site.
£5.
Yes.
So if you're selling something that is like over a pound, Poshmark really is a good financial
It
deal.
it definitely is. It
Right.
definitely is.
Okay. And then Macari is preset shipping tiers. They kind of tell you what you can do within their system.
Yeah, and theirs go from like it starts, I want to say at 4.99, and I think their highest right now in within the under up to a pound is 6.99 when you're using USPS, and then when you switch over to like the UPS or FedEx, it goes into like they even have a lower price in it, so it's like I think up to £5 at 7.99, but you have to be very thank you a thing or two. It's six
Yes,
forty nine on
exactly.
Poshmark.
6.49. We appreciate it.
And so, but theirs is like I forgot what they call it. It's like UPS and FedEx something, but it's like they pass it off to USPS. But
Yeah.
it's very the thing I've noticed when I see people out shipping, you have to be very, very precise on those because they are measured in those boxes. So it has to be
Yes.
the price is not just based on the weight of it, it's also based on the measurement. And the same thing
Correct.
with the USPS on Macari. If you go a certain length, it will go from 11.99 for the like a priority to 12.99 or 13.99.
Right.
So, and I love the LP allows us to put our measurements in because I can see exactly what it is when I'm in the moment.
Yep. So that's a good point. So not only is it weight on some of these carriers, it's weight and it's cubic. So the inches matter, and um you can't go over a certain inch allowance altogether.
Yeah,
So
because
it
they
is
the
right,
tier.
right, and it will change tiers. So the great thing about, eBay comparatively to the others is eBay, you can price comparison shop right inside eBay or inside Pirate Ship, inside VQuo, right? All of those are kind of the same in that sense, and you can price shop and comparison shop. So when you set up this isn't really what we're talking about, but I'm just wondering, Veta, when you set up your shipping profiles on eBay, did you write standard shipping so that you can choose at the moment?
So I just I put it for ground advantage.
Uh-huh.
And so I think right now that's all I was offering was the ground advantage for
Yep.
people. And so yeah, but if I know for that I can always go up, but you can't go down.
Correct.
So
That's a good point
so
too. So if Veta sold a book that could go media mail and she doesn't have media mail as one of the options, you can't go down. You are right. So you
yeah,
couldn't go from ground advantage to media mail, but you can always go ground advantage to priority.
correct.
So you can always go up. You can't go down. So Depop is seller set flat shipping. So they do it, you kind of make your own tiers on Depop.
Yeah, you just basically choose. It's you're kind of like my car where you're choosing what weight it falls in.
Yep.
So it if it's small or if it's so you just choose, like they'll tell you this 2 to 4, this is 6 to 8 or whatever, and you just pick that, and then it's gonna put that flat rate for the customers, I guess, in there.
Right.
I just
And
don't see
then,
theirs when I'm putting it in. You don't actually see the
yeah,
cost for the
no,
customer, so I'm
you
always
don't
wondering
see
what
the
the
cost.
customer are
Yeah, you
paying.
don't see the cost. You are just picking, and they
Yeah,
put it like small, and then it will have extra small and will have an ounce next to it.
yeah,
So, yeah, I find that Depop shipping is easy for new people, because you don't need to know like box sizes, things like that, right? So Poshmark and Depop, I think, are pretty simple for shipping, but it gives you less control over what you're doing.
yeah. And then my
Yeah.
car is kind of like in the middle.
Yep.
You
Agree.
can compare, so you can choose your carrier, but it's like just they're smaller perimeters, but you do have that ability. So
Right.
you can say, okay, I want to use FedEx, I want to use UPS if you feel like it's going to be for your customers. But I will say, and something I learned, do not just assume what your customers are willing to pay. Because I will say, I did stop using UPS and FedEx on Macari. And I was like, no, I don't know how the customers are going to feel because 11.99 for £2 of USPS, but with UPS, they keep 7.49 or 7.99. And lo and behold, I actually had more customers buying it when I switched to USPS. And so I was like, well, let me just stop assuming what my customers are willing to pay. And then I had to think maybe some people, for them, I heard something recently on a podcast I was listening to, and it was saying that not everybody can get UPS to their house. So that
Right.
means if they're ordering UPS, they actually have to go, especially small towns, they have to travel somewhere to get this package versus the mail carrier would have brought it to their mailbox or to their home.
Right. So, and where I live, there is a section of the town I live in that used to be, for lack of a better word, like a vacation away from Boston, right? You would come down south where there was a, maybe I'm like 30 minutes south of Boston, and there was a pond and all of these little cottages. So in the 20s and the 30s and the 40s, people would come down and live in these little unheated cottages for the summer before they went back into the city for the winter. And that section of town, they don't have, it's very hard to get cars down there, never mind trucks. Okay.
Right?
So UPS not only doesn't go in there, USPS doesn't go in there. They
Oh,
all
wow.
have a localized, we have a little post office in that section of town that is just open, I think 9 to noon, and then 5 to 6 or something. So people can go pick up their mail and you automatically get a mailbox there. So you are right. We never know what kind of position, what their mail is going to be, right? So sometimes it's better to offer more options so people can get what they're comfortable with getting to their home.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then Whatnot, sorry, I skipped Etsy. Etsy also does calculated, and they do have third-party integration, but it does seem to me that they really do push USPS.
I do feel like they do. And
Yeah.
they are one. So the crazy thing was, I felt like when we had that whole Poshmark got rid of priority, everybody was like, "Oh, let's take the boxes back." And
Yeah.
then you had, wait, Whatnot actually uses those flat rates. And
Right.
so then I found myself back at the post office, like, "Hey, I need some of my boxes back." So luckily, I was like, I just went to the post office and grabbed some from everybody leaving them because I was like, I do not want to have my carrier actually have to bring fresh new boxes from his truck when I just took a whole bunch to the post office. So they
Um,
were sitting there for like 2 weeks. Boxes were just stacked up from all the resellers that came back and dumped all their priority boxes back off.
it's amazing because it was an interesting thing when Posh did that. There was a big uproar in the community for a month or two, but now Priority does give us the ability to get free Ground Advantage supplies. So, Poshmark really, I think, reacted to their customer base, meaning us sellers, not the customers of Poshmark, that we
Correct.
wanted the free supplies. And so now, and they just announced, I think yesterday or the day before, I think it was available, but they kind of just made an announcement about it, how you can now order these right inside the app. So you can
Yeah.
go into your app, and I do not know where it is. I have not looked yet, but I read the email. You can go into your app and you can order free Ground Advantage supplies.
I want to say it's supposed to be on the seller tools section
Okay,
for
thank
people
you.
to.
Makes sense. So a thing or two wrote, Etsy has undercharged my buyers multiple times with calculated shipping where I have to pay more than the shipping label when I buy a shipping label, and my weight and size is accurate. Yeah.
Oh.
I've heard that also about Etsy. I got to be honest, I do not sell a lot on Etsy, so I don't have a lot of knowledge about
Neither.
how Etsy works. But I have had other people tell me that. I mean, Carolyn, she just wrote it's Carolyn, so I now know. But I absolutely, you could pad it a little. You could pad the price. I mean, pad your dimensions and your weight a little if you think that would help. I do think that it is something that I've had other sellers tell me that they do. Um, in the Posh app, itself, you're able to order now
Yes.
USPS, Ground Advantage, Poshmark. I believe they're Poshmark branded supplies, or at least they were just for Posh.
Yeah, they're currently just for Posh.
Right, exactly. Whatnot also is platform managed shipping, but their shipping seems to be a really good deal, especially if you have multiples.
Yeah. And so that's kind of why they have, and I need to see because I know there was some question about new sellers and stuff. But the thing that got me was the whole reduced shipping factor where they're allowing us as sellers to say, like, hey, for 921, which is kind of like Poshmark's, you know, bulk flat rate, for nine, you can create a flat rate of 921. But as a seller, you can figure out how much can you give customers at that 921. So maybe for me, I could tell my buyers maybe if it's a dress show, I might say 7 items for 921. And
Right,
maybe if it's just tops, I might could tell them, okay, it's 10 items because it's basically whatever you can fit inside of that large flat rate box. And that, along with Poshmark and kind of like Macari, is why I love them for those flat prices because plus size clothing, it's heavy, especially like dresses. One dress can easily get you at 1.1 pound 2 ounces.
right,
So and that's why I really hadn't done a Posh show. Posh, if you want to, you need to figure out or whatnot, take some tips. But I'm just saying we can hit 5 pounds real quick. So to
right,
be able to put like 7 dresses, we're talking maybe 10 pounds into a large flat rate box and sell it to my customer for 921. That is amazing. And
right,
so you're being able to get and I ain't gonna lie, I've gone back a couple times to shop, maybe once or twice, 3 times. But it's the fact that I can get these plus size clothes and somebody's telling me like, you get 7 items in this box. And I'm like, okay, let's get to going. And
right,
so it encourages you too, because you feel like you're getting your money's worth, you're getting a good bang for your buck.
right. And last night, so yesterday, I guess it was yesterday afternoon, Susie Eads did a Whatnot show, and she was doing bathing
10 for
suits.
10.
Right, 10 for $10. She started each auction at 10 bathing suits, brand new bathing suits for $10. It was a reseller to reseller show. She was trying to sell to other resellers. That was kind of the idea of it. But I don't know. I said this went on the show, and she didn't. She's like, "Oh, I don't know," but it did happen. Her shipping was $8.34, but after the first bundle, it was free. So you could have bought as many items as you wanted, as many bundles as you wanted for $8.34. Now, I am sure that is coming out of Susie's, that's coming out of Susie's
Yeah,
pocket,
and
right?
it could have been a
Susie,
glitch on her end, like not setting that number and just saying, because you can just do straight flat rate. Like you can just
right.
say, once they buy whatever they buy, it's this is the price. But to me, that would be more fitting for like jewelry or something smaller because you can get a whole bunch of jewelry at large, a flat rate box. And so I don't know if I would do just
Yeah,
because some
but
people just
well,
have
I
that
also
flat.
think she wanted to sell them, right? So she wanted to
Yeah,
encourage people to buy multiples. So, um, okay,
and
so
it's a good
let's
way to kind of release inventory. Because I mean, I've even considered that. Like sometimes when you just have so much inventory, why not give to fellow resellers? Where they can, you know, you get to get it off the shelf, and you don't feel like you just threw it away, and then
right.
somebody else can profit from it as well.
Exactly. So let's talk about why platform fit matters, right? Shipping can affect conversion rate, meaning how much somebody's going to buy and if they're going to buy at all. Last night during that bathing suit show, I bought I think I bought 3 bundles, and I know Valerie was in there, Valerie from Mastermind was in there, and she bought a whole lot of bundles, and I am sure the shipping had something to do with it, right? Especially because we're
Oh
going to
yeah,
resell it. And so when you can get the cost of $1 an item or less, well, I mean, some were more, I suppose people bid them up, but even if we're
yeah,
into it for $2 for a brand new item, and then you don't have to add the shipping cost on top of it. It's a great deal. And so
exactly.
you can encourage buying with this way also. Um,
And I think
buyers
that's
that is, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think that's why being able to know what you're going to pay is for shipping is so important when it comes to, because I mean clearly even as sellers we get it when we're buying, that seeing what you're going to pay, because like I said, even for now giving hers was way amazing because you're paying this 8 something and you ride the reel, you don't even care anymore about the shipping price. But even for a show that I'm in and the person saying you get seven items for this and then you pay this 921, even though I'm paying 921 every time, I've already calculated in my head if I win it for this amount, I'm paying this. So like I already know, okay, it's a $1.33 shipping maybe for each one. So if I paid 5, I paid 633. And
Right.
so it's easy for
Exactly.
me to not worry when I'm buying versus when you have no idea as a buyer what this is adding up to. Because that piece by piece, at the end of the day, you look at your PayPal account and you're like, what the like
I
it's
know.
just not,
Exactly. Where did this come from? It's
because
totally
all
true.
you're seeing is this you're bidding $1 and $2. But you
Right.
don't realize every time you swipe it's that 5 plus 433,
Right.
5 plus 266. And I'm like, okay, I spent more than I.
Yeah, exactly. And it makes your cost of goods go up. So it is, I mean, so, and Valerie wrote, yeah, I did some damage yesterday. Thanks, Susie. Um, so your net profits, and there are some of us, like I lose money on shipping every day. Okay. So for my business, I do what I call subsidized shipping, for lack of a better word, right? I
Yeah,
don't charge people what it actually costs because I used to do free shipping. And so that was already built into my price. And so I just kind of got on this subsidized shipping thing. And so, but thinking about who has better return rates on what platform, if you're going to offer returns, and your net profit, a lot of us um, make money on shipping, right? Do you need that?
yeah.
Is your item at a price point where you need to make money on shipping? Sometimes it is. And so then it also depends on what platform you're selling on. So let's kind of talk about each one. eBay shipping strengths, these are just my own opinion. Heavy items, and I don't necessarily mean um up to the 5 pounds. Let's talk about like over that. You can get a better deal.
Like a
And plus,
speaker.
yeah,
It's so,
like a speaker, AKA Mr. Hargis. Because you can do your own shipping on there. You can do freight. You can do whatever you want. eBay has the most options. So you're able to basically ship that however you wish on eBay. And not all the platforms have that ability. So bulky items, large boxes, and also high value inventory, because you can add services on, like insurance, when you have to sign for the package, signature delivery.
Oh,
You can,
signatures.
yeah, you can add all that stuff
Yeah,
very
you're able to
easily.
utilize all that.
Right. And you're able to know what your margins are very easy. And as Vetta said a minute ago, some platforms, it's harder to figure out what anyone's going to be charged for shipping. Where on eBay, you can do it beforehand and you can know 100%.
Yeah.
Multi-carrier choice, so it allows price shopping, which I think is a really good thing on eBay. And they have really good discount rates. You're getting much better rates than you would if you went to the post office, right? They have, and the other thing, which I didn't write on here, which I should have, is you can decide whether you want to pass that savings on to the customer or not. So you do have the
Yeah.
ability to charge your customer counter UPS rates if you wanted to.
Yeah. So they get exactly the price that you're paying for that
Right.
shipping.
All right. So Poshmark shipping strengths, heavy clothes, bundles, dense items like jeans, like you said, plus size dresses, sweaters, things that can have a lot of weight to them, up to 5 pounds, you're paying one price.
Exactly.
And that
And
is very, very attractive.
yeah. And so and it's and they created in that sense because they made it like a bundle system. I mean, they even if you have one piece, they call it a bundle because in their mind, we're expecting you to put more in there than just one. So it's like, no,
Exactly.
don't rush. Take your time. Find some more. Take a couple of days. I'll just keep adding things.
I'm
But
so happy to see Paula here. I haven't seen her in a while. Hi, Paula. I hope you're well. Sorry, I got excited.
oh no, not at all. But
um,
yeah, I think they definitely work well when it comes to not the buyer not having to fixate so much on what is this going to cost if I pick this item because
exactly.
regardless this is what it's going to cost.
Agreed. Um, and the other great thing that about Posh, I think, is that um, I wrote flat rate again. It's not. It's ground advantage. So sorry, guys. There's no weighing and no measuring, as long as it's up to 5 pounds, right?
Exactly.
You don't
Yeah.
have to put in it's 4.2 pounds. You don't have to do anything. You just buy the label, slap it on. So it's once you get to that 5 pound mark that things get tricky. So let me ask you a question, Vetta. If you're selling something that's 8 pounds on Posh, how do you do that?
So for me, it's very Posh does offer additional shipping. And so there's a section that you can go into your shipping and tell it like you need additional weight. And it's not some people there's a section where you can buy a label. You don't really want to buy a new label because then that's just if you have another box. If you want them to add weight, then there's a different one, and that's where you just add extra pounds. And so you want to increase it to like 6 pounds or 7 pounds or 8 pounds. And so for me, depending on that customer and what they're buying, as we say it technically, eat the cost. I've even
Yep.
in the past where I actually did buy another label. I asked the customer like, "Hey, let's break this bundle up, and you pay for one label, and I'll pay for the other label." And I was more than happy to do that for that customer because she was buying like a whole bunch, buying a lot of
Yeah.
stuff. And I don't want to tell my customer, no, you can't buy 12, 15 items from me. No, I want you to do your shopping and we'll figure it out. Just tell me what you want. We'll make this work. And
Well, and I
so,
think
and
that's a smart idea. I mean, you used it as a sales tool almost, right? Like
yeah, so now we
I'll
got,
pay for the other.
yeah, so she got 10 pounds for 649. And then for me, I just paid an additional 649. But the fact that I made, almost $200 to care less about that 649.
Right.
Like,
Right. And so the bad thing about Posh is that it makes buying one t-shirt unattractive, right? Because the price is expensive comparatively to the other to some of
platform.
the other platforms. Though,
Again, it can though at that 649 mark now, they're not far off from
no,
everybody
it's what I
else.
was going to say.
Especially if,
It's
like I said, if it's a plus size, and don't let it be a shacket because again
right.
now it has that weight to it or extra ruffles and stuff.
No, but it's actually, I mean, you're right. Since they came
Yeah,
down from the priority price, it isn't quite as a dramatic difference as it
yeah, because
was
they had got
before.
up to almost $9 with the priority,
Right.
and so when
And
you're
so
looking
that
at
was
10
a
bucks
lot
for a
for a
t-shirt,
t-shirt. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Um, okay, so Macari, small white items, I mean small lightweight items, not small white items. Small lightweight items, easy, simple packaging. Um, I think it's, eBay's pretty, I mean, Macari's pretty easy to manipulate.
yeah.
They do become a little overpriced, I think, when they're big or heavy or, oversized.
And I think that's why they try to give people the option to do the gosh, I wish I could think of the word for it, but that like the FedEx USPS
Yep.
combination because it does, like I said, we'll drop it down to like that 7.99, I think. But in my case, I just choose to stick with the USPS. But even then, it's 11.99, but it's like all the way up to I think 5 or 10 pounds, something like that. And so, but I do feel like their prices in general are kind to, especially under the pound. Like they're I think like 8 ounces is maybe like five something, and so they have some pretty fair prices. But like I said, it does get a little trickier when you do get over the pound, and then you
Right.
just kind of figure out where you want to go. But I feel like that's kind of where they go more to like that Poshmark zone where it's like, okay, well you can pick this, or this, and it'll go up to 5 pounds. And
Right.
so,
Right. So in Depop, again, lightweight clothing seems to do good. They have simple flat shipping. Like we said before, you do like 0 to 4, 4 to 6, you get to pick. So as long as you pick the right category, it's a pretty simple process.
yeah,
And buyers don't seem to balk at the shipping there at the moment anyways. Etsy, um, it's calculated, so meaning you're buying exactly what you have. And they have good USPS discounts like eBay does. Does But I do think, like somebody had mentioned before, they tend to underestimate a little the price. So
yeah.
I don't know what that's about, but I do think it's not exactly apples to apples, as in if you're buying a label for $7.50 does not mean they're going to charge the customer $7.50. So you may want to build in a little padding on your Etsy shipping.
Yeah.
Um,
And I hadn't saw anything on Etsy yet, but that is something that definitely a lot we currently in what is it, Bill and
Ted.
Robin's thing,
Oh,
uh
Bill and Robin. Yeah. Bill and
Bill
Ted.
and Robin's
Bill and Dave.
Bill and Ted, no. We're not talking about the excellent
Bill and
adventures of
Dave.
Bill and Ted. Bill, gosh.
Poor Dave. I just called Dave Ted. I'm a terrible person. It's my
Uh,
husband's fault. I've never even seen that movie, and he always is. Oh, see, my husband. I'm gonna blame him. Posh needs a flat rate for less than 15 ounces. I agree. I've thought this would be great, even if they had one for less than 8 ounces. Um, yeah. Thanks, Desiree. Thanks.
but Bill and uh Liz Perfectly party where they've been teaching us about Etsy. And that
Yeah.
definitely has been a topic is learning how to ship on um Etsy. So and everyone's they've been very helpful. I do look to start venturing towards Etsy soon. And so that's definitely something I'll probably have to pop into 2023 like, hey, how does this work again?
Right.
But I
Well, and that's a great thing. Not to toot
I'll
our own horn, but
see
I
to
am
see how
going to for a
theirs goes.
second. Yeah, and that's the
Toot
great
toot.
thing about List exactly. The great thing about List Perfectly is there's always somebody around who can help you, right? Like, so if you don't know how to do something, you
Yes.
can jump into the 24-hour room on Listing Party and usually find somebody who knows. Um, so this, of course, this example, the Poshmark is wrong because I had a brain I don't know. I was having a stroke this morning or something. It's the second time I've said this today, so maybe it's true. Poshmark is only 6 whatever on this. So in reality, the lightweight t-shirt's a little bit more in line than it used to be when they did the
Yeah,
priority.
I was getting more closer now.
Right. And the 2-pound mark, Poshmark is a much better deal, right? Poshmark is below the standard on it. So that's, and then when we get to the 4-pound mark, 4 pounds to 5 pounds, Poshmark is an excellent deal. And
Exactly.
so is Whatnot for that matter also, right?
Yep.
So there are some places we're putting bundles. So if you're somebody who wants to sell to other resellers, or if you're somebody who's trying to do bundles, Poshmark and Whatnot are 2 places that the shipping is much better than, like, let's say eBay, excuse me. So, but then once you get 10 pounds or more, because you can only go up to
Yeah.
10 on Posh, correct?
Yes, I want to say they tap out
I
at 10
think
pounds.
I think that's right, yeah. Um, you know,
But that's where it goes into you'd have to buy the multiple labels. So
right,
technically you don't have to tell stop your customer, but you do have to have a conversation with that customer to set up multiple boxes. So it's kind of like they would just buy multiple bundles from you and then you would there's a
right.
workaround. It just
Um,
makes it more work to do.
yeah. Um, and Liz has a good point about this. If you're on one of the coasts, right? I'm in Boston and I'm shipping to Los Angeles, Poshmark can be a much better deal at that ground advantage rate than maybe some another carrier, just because if I'm comparatively to like Susie, who's in the middle of the country in Kansas, her shipping rates are much better than my shipping rates, right?
Yes.
To the West Coast anyways. So there is a lot to think about when you're doing this. And there is a lot of places that you can make a little money, and there's a lot of places that you can lose money. And
Yes.
so those, right? And we've all
And if
done it.
you don't do, I will say to fellow sellers, I'm just gonna put it out there. But we have even in 20 it started, I felt like it started in 2025, definitely in 2026 moving forward, we have to be more precautious about our weights and our measurements. You cannot just be guesstimating
No.
anymore
Yep.
because these platforms, it's not even the platforms, it's the carriers. They are not taking it, these extra inches on the boxes, because really what it falls down to is them trying to get the maximum capacity in their trucks. And when
Right.
you're telling them it weighs this, but the box is like 2 foot long, it's like,
Mhm.
okay, yeah, it's light, but the box is taking up so much space in the truck that it's
Right.
costing them money. It's taking them more trips. Because even my carrier, my USPS carrier, will tell me at times like I had to make another trip back to the station because I had to get more packages. And so platforms will penalize you for it. They do not want to eat that cost.
Right.
So, it's heartbreaking when you see for Macari on Facebook or whatever on Facebook. And I have gotten hit myself in the past where they're like, oh, I had to pay an extra $15. And it's because
Right.
you didn't do your measurements. And even if you did, you didn't put them in there. And I will tell you, in Macari, you have to be careful. And I don't feel like they're trying to set you up. I feel like there's a glitch somewhere in their system. But it will assume what your ways. So if you ever look at it, I could have 8 ounce shirt, and when I put it in the title in, based on I guess the pictures, it's trying to help fill in stuff, and it will say recommendation 1 pound. I'm like, this is an 8 ounce shirt. So I click everything inside my cart. I click on that weight right away. I see what the weight says. I click to see what the measurement says because you don't see the measurements, and you'll only see now where it says, "Can this fit in the shoebox?"
Right.
If you click no, it will actually show you your measurements. So that way you can see if your measurements from if you have LP, if they transfer it in correctly from LP. And then you go to the next screen and see what your actual prices are. Because one time it said, does it fit in the shoebox? And I clicked no. And then when it went to the next screen, my USPS was not $11.99, it was $12.99. And I was like, I would have got bit had I not And so I kind of wish they take that away. I really more where you could see everything on that screen. And so
Well, I mean, they're
do
doing
your
that
own.
right. They're doing I am sorry if I am breaking up, you guys. I don't know if it's me or Vetta. I'm getting my
You
internet fixed.
sound
So
fine to
I
me.
okay, good. Um if I'm not, I apologize. But there is, some wiggle room, but it is really important that you guys are accurate with your weights and measurements. Now, there are some places, Poshmark being one of them, that
Yeah.
kind of is better for a new seller because you don't have the weights and the measurements don't mean as much as long as you're using the the correct boxes that Poshmark says, then
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about it, right? So if you're getting the free boxes through Poshmark and you're getting them shipped to your house and you're using those, then you don't have to worry that you're not going to fit within the
Yeah.
guidelines
And I
because
feel
you
like
are.
that's what they were trying to take the guesswork out of it. They're trying to
Right.
make it simpler. They're trying to work out. So they're like here are bags, here are boxes.
Right. Exactly. But advanced sellers will start to use these to their advantage. And that's kind of what this whole thing is kind of about. If you are somebody who has something, think about what platform it's going to be on. Now, I am not saying that you shouldn't put it on every platform because if somebody is an eBay loyalist or if somebody just feels that, um, I would much rather buy this from Poshmark for whatever reason, you want to have that available for them. But
Yeah.
I also think when you start to build a brand, if you're somebody who's niche down like Vetta, and you have repeat customers, you could always write a little note and say, hey, check me out on Poshmark if you want to buy multiple items. It's a better deal for the shipping
Yeah.
or whatever. You can use these things to direct people the way that you want. Um, and that's absolutely um, allowed to put in an eBay. You're allowed to put it, it's not against the terms of service or anything to put in your own flyer in a box or anything. Um, but all that is Sunseen. It's a cute name. People do love their platform loyalty. You are absolutely right. There are some people who are only going to shop on one platform, right? And so you don't want those people not to be able to buy your item, but in general, to know what it's going to cost on each item on each platform can sometimes give you a little bit of wiggle room on prices and on how much you can take for an item. If you're not going to have to, if this item is £4 and there the shipping's already going to be covered and you're not going to pay anything, maybe you take a few dollars less than you would have because you're not going to be adding anything to the shipping. Whereas like for me on eBay, where I do like a little bit of subsidized shipping, all that is unseen. Okay, I was close. It's still a good name. Maybe I can take a less price because I'm not going to add anything for the shipping. So just being
Yeah.
aware of what the shipping is and how much it's going to actually cost you, I just think is a really good thing for sellers to know. And the longer you do this, the better you get at it.
Yeah.
And it's very intimidating when you first start.
Yeah, I just believe. I mean, ultimately, the platforms are going to be the platforms. The carrier prices they're going to be the carrier prices. We all know we see it every year where we'll get those emails that hey, USPS rates are going up or FedEx rates are going up, and we have to as sellers just adjust because we can't change them. We can only change our strategy. You
Right.
can't change the price, you can change your strategy. So not everything is going to be meant to go everywhere. You do not need to put your 15-pound speaker on Poshmark. It
Right.
does not belong there. You just have to figure out where your item works best for you. You can because especially for everything selling, if you have everything, you're not going to be able to put everything everywhere. So you need to strategically think about where does this work best. If you have kid clothes, like for me, I do have Mari Treasures, which is my daughter's name, and so I created another Poshmark. You can have another Poshmark closet, just reach out to Poshmark first. And so I have recently realized that I've noticed what the parents are buying. And so, like, some used pair of kids' leggings, they don't want to pay that shipping for that. But
Right.
a used pair of jeans, they'll bulk those jeans up because I don't know why. And I say, for heaven's name, why do kids' clothes cost the same as adult clothes?
It's
When
true.
you got like this much fabric in your
Yeah,
so,
it's true.
but I was like, you know what? Let me stop putting these over here and let's find another place. And for that, we're probably gonna go to Whatnot. Because then easily parents can bulk up a whole bunch of used play clothes or lightly pre-loved and they'll take it there. So it's really just about seeing what works where. And that doesn't mean I'm going to leave Poshmark. It just means I'm starting to understand how the customers shop over here and what they're willing to pay for over here versus what is going to be more comfortable for them over here.
Agreed. And so, all that is unseen. Let's just talk about this for a second. They write, I'm curious if everybody offers the same selling price on all their platforms, or do you adjust selling prices per platform? Okay. So I think that's a really interesting question. And I know it's not exactly what we're talking about, but I do want to hit on it because I think it kind of ties in with this.
Yes.
And for me, I used to just set one price and let it go. I don't do that anymore.
Really?
I don't. And to be honest with you, I don't do that partly because of the shipping cost, right? On
Yeah.
eBay, I charge more because I am doing subsidized shipping. So because on eBay, my shipping is $5 if it's a pound or less, and it's $8 if it's a pound or more. That's just the way I do it. I might change that soon, but right now that's the way I do it. And so for me, if I have a sweater that's 14 ounces, I'm gonna be putting into that shipping. And um, so I do charge a little bit more on eBay, and I also run sales and I take offers. So my initial price on eBay is pretty high so that I have room to do all those things. Now, we had a webinar with Depop, and if you're not on Depop and you use List Perfectly, you have today and tomorrow to get 10 items on. Now, we all know you can do 10 items in 5 seconds. If you are new to Depop, as in since November, you either have a brand new account or haven't been listing for a few months. If November till tomorrow, if you get 10 items on, we have a sweepstakes that you can win. They're giving away $3,500, different with 500,
To the top
three or
five.
four. Yeah, top 5 get 500, and then the other ones get 100, and you get free boosting and stuff. So if you're not doing that, get yourself on, because there's no reason to leave money on the table. It's only 10. But the thing that I find interesting about Depop is there are no seller fees, right? So for
Yes.
me, I can put items over there for less money because people are paying the shipping. I figure out, and they're paying basically what it is, and there's no shipping fees. So for me, I price lower on Depop. I also price lower on Posh. Not much lower, but a
Which is
little
funny
lower.
because back in the day, everybody charged
Upped on
more than
Posh.
Posh
I
because
know.
of 20%, and then they charged less on eBay. But then sometimes I was like, I felt like when we looked at the calculations, eBay was close to that 20%. So
Oh,
I was like,
absolutely. I think eBay, for depending on how you use promoted listings, if you're using promoted listings,
oh yeah,
um, eBay could be way more than 20%. I think for me, I figure eBay at about 25%, to be completely honest.
wow.
Between like what I pay in store fees and returns and how much I spend a month on eBay, for me, it just comes out to be about 25% per item net. So I agree with you. The 20% used to sound so big, right? And
And
now
now it's
eBay
like,
is, yeah, exactly. eBay is exactly, thank you. Thank you, Desiree. I have that too in a banner. I will put it up in 1 second. But
oh,
thank you. She's so
that's
good.
my girl.
She's so good. Um, and and so, I think 20% it's more than 20. It's 25 for me. That's what I figure out. And so you just have to know your numbers a little bit, but that goes towards shipping also, right?
Yeah.
I mean, where you can make a little money, where you're going to lose a little money on your shipping also matters. So knowing all these things and having a pricing strategy and a shipping strategy for your business is really important. And I think it's getting more and more important as the margins get tighter.
So for me to answer that question, I'm how I used to do it. I list everything the same across the board, but I look at it kind of basically though in the same concept as my lordness comes in on the offers. So I feel like for me, because I thought about, well, do I want to adjust the prices? But when it comes to like maybe I fix something and you know how we want to update it,
Yep.
maybe I don't remember what I had from those other ones. And
Yep.
so, like, where maybe on Poshmark I offer 15%, it could be on Depop with, having I do the boost for the 8%, but
Yep.
then I might could offer 30% off because you're not taking, it's going to meet them in the middle.
Right.
So,
Exactly. Agreed. And then you can also think about where your pricing strategy, I mean, where your shipping strategy is in that. Are you going to
yeah.
lose money on the shipping? Are you going to make a little money on the shipping? So you can, adjust your prices that way too. All right, Miss Vetta, I appreciate it. I hope this helped some of you. We are going to go over to listing party now. If anybody, look at now, Crystal. Hi, Crystal. Crystal, I'm
Hi,
coming in March.
Crystal.
Crystal, I'm coming to Las Vegas in March. Let's go to dinner. Don't tell anybody. It's a secret. So we're going to go to listing party. If anybody would like to come and ask any questions, we kind of have an after party on Fridays every time. Again, always think about, what platform you're selling this on, the prices, think about what kind of shipping you're going to use, and also think about who your customer is, right? Maybe you have a different customer on eBay than you do on Posh. Maybe you have a different customer on Macari than you do on Depop. So think about that too, because I do sometimes think that, it can also depend on who's buying your item, right? The shipping.
Yes.
Yeah. I hope you guys have a great
Well, and
day.
can I say one thing, Trish?
Yeah, of course.
I just want to say, if you're not on LP, you definitely should be there. If you're a seller and you do not have a crossing place, or if you do have a crossing platform you're on, I would definitely say you still need to check out LP. List Perfectly is an amazing company, and I like the fact that they don't just give you a product; they actually teach you how to use the product. And so, with that said, you can see my 30% off this code in the thing. And for anybody who I refer, I always tell people, I'm not just going to give you a code. I'm also going to give you uh, the necessary training to use it. So I like to consider myself not just a referral code, but also a mentor. I know the word sounds weird to saying it, a mentor, but
No,
I don't
it
want to
doesn't.
refer
I think
people
it's
and then
great.
just throw them in the water. Like I'm just
Yeah.
taking that and you're sinking them. So you can literally message me or find me in LP and say, hey, Betta, I use your code. How do I do this? And I'm happy to walk you through it. So,
And I appreciate that, Vetta. And I also think that's what's really great about our community. Again, I'm going to toot our own horn, so to speak. And, listing party is great. And you guys have built your own community outside
yeah.
of everything that we do. And it's great. And you guys help each other. And, it's really a fabulous thing. And it's something that I didn't have when I started this. And I think I would have been more successful faster if I had
Yeah.
people, and this is one of those things that you can learn from people who have been doing this a long time, but you also learn something from somebody who's brand new. I mean, every day somebody says something and I'm like, oh crap, I never thought of that,
Oh, yeah. We
So
laugh together. We cry together. It's
good when somebody can commiserate with you too. It's
right.
true. Yeah, it's very true. All right, so we're gonna go to listing party. I hope you guys will come. We'll see you there. Thank you again, Vetta.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Bye, guys. Let me end the stream. Let me